Hello, and welcome to This Christian Walk, the show where no topic is too taboo to empower you on your walk with God. I'm your host, Marley B., and it is my privilege to welcome you to the conversation. Now, we've all heard the saying, friends come and friends go. If you live long enough, you may have even seen this play out in your own life at least once by now. I've invited back two of my favorite guests to chat on the subject. Pastor T and Bowdie. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so I would like to welcome back two of my favorite guests here. One, Pastor T, welcome back.
Hello.
And welcome back, Bowdie.
Hello. Good evening.
Bo is having a little technical difficulty right now, but we can't really see him. But he got his nice little Colgate smile going on right there. But we can hear him just fine. So we're gonna keep on rolling and not worry about it too much. Is that cool?
I'm good with it.
Thank you guys so much for coming back and being with me today. We rolling around like it seemed like just yesterday we were at episode 1. Bo, you was out there stepping out with me on that first one.
Hey.
Pastor T, your episode just came out this earlier last week. And so I'm just so glad that y'all came back with me this week, and we're going to keep the conversation going. Okay. So today's topic is going to be basically about friendships. Okay. And where I got the idea for this topic was from a conversation that Bo and I had not too long ago. I say maybe about a week and a half ago, Bo, we were talking about friendships. You remember that?
I do. It was a pretty dope conversation. I enjoyed it.
Yes. And it's just the evolution of friendship. It's just funny how at different points of our life, our friend circles, they have a tendency to change. And sometimes we can look at those situations as a negative thing. But I think this conversation today is going to inspire people to look at it another way. We want it to always be a situation where we can count it all joy, right? Because even when something goes against our expectations, we have to keep in mind that it's still going to be as long as it's in line with God's plan, it's a good thing. And even when it kind of hurts us or it frustrates us, we have to learn how to count it all joy and just kind of roll with the punches, which can be frustrating sometimes. But when we learn how to do that, that makes this walk a lot easier, you know? So Bo, just to kind of talk about, how we were having that conversation, you were basically telling us that you were making some lifestyle changes and it caused people to kind of shun you in a way. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Definitely. So I would probably say for the last, I think I'm going into week number 7. Before I say it's not a forever change. We're not going to say that just yet. But I've refrained from alcohol for the last 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. At one point in time, I felt like maybe it was doing too much, or that I didn't have as much as a hold of control of it as much as I wanted to. So, and then, going to the gym back and forth, you'll never outwork a bad diet. So I wanted to just, get rid of a couple of deterrents that I felt like was hindering me in my progress, my forward flow of it. Inadvertently in that process, I realized, well, the company that I used to keep, I don't keep as often as I used to anymore. I would probably say I don't know that I want to say it was puzzling at first, more so that I don't think I took note of it. And then it was one weekend. I think that's the weekend that I was speaking to you. Then it dawned on me, and it was like, well, man, I have not seen too many people here in the last few weeks, and I don't know if it's because I stopped drinking. I don't want to look down. I don't want to sit down my nose at anybody in reference to it. Like, well, you stopped coming around because I'm not doing these things anymore. However, it seems like, I guess, call a spade a spade. I would say sleep is better, dreams are better, and I think we all interpret dreams to be different things, but I guess in turn those dreams seems like a good message for me, like, hey, this is all happening for a reason. Even more so after our conversation, well, maybe this is the good Lord's way of saying, well, hey, let me talk to you. Now we got this influence out of the way, let's have a conversation. So that's been pretty much the basis of the last, like I said, I'm going into week number 7. I would probably say for the last 4 weeks, I've definitely noticed a big change in reference to people, I guess to say.
And you know, when something like that happens, and I love how you are able to look at it in a way like, you know, now that I haven't had all those people, all the chatter, now
Right.
God was able to, you know, really, you hear God's voice a lot clearer.
Definitely.
And Pastor T, I know you can speak to the significance of being able to be still, you know, get and block a lot of the distractions so that you can hear God's voice a lot clearer. So could you speak a little bit on that and how we should even, you know, intentionally get quiet so that we can hear God's voice a little bit more often?
Yeah, so the way I look at our friendships or relationships with other people, I put people in 3 categories. The first category is a friend, and a friend is a friend is a friend. These are the people who I can call on no matter what. They know my personal business, like that's intimacy, right? And then I have acquaintances. Those are people who you can count on them for support, right? So these are people who, you know, you support them, they support you. We don't really talk like that, but we cool, right? And then the last category is ministry assignments. And these are friendships or relationships where my role is simply to pour into them. I don't expect anything from them. I don't expect them to show up. I don't expect them to care about me. Just kind of put it bluntly, these are the people who only call you when they need something. They're going through something. They got drama. Okay, well, you need something from me, right? And then kind of what you were saying too, Bo, when you were talking about you made a change. And when it comes to our relationships with other people, like we have to be intentional about the changes that we make so that the people that are in our space are providing what they need to be providing in our space. So when you make a conscious decision to give up something that makes you familiar with other people, you take away that common denominator. So now we're not familiar in this area anymore. So what do we talk about? It's just like if you're in a relationship, man and woman, whatever, and you take something out of that relationship, right? And if that's all the relationship is based on, then how do we continue to survive? So your situation, you take away the alcohol. Look, I'm working on me. New year, new me, 2021. It's 2021. I'm letting go of stuff that no longer serves me. And that's what friendships are supposed to do. Like in a friendship, it's about me serving, and the friendship is also serving me to some capacity. And if it's not serving me, then can I really say it's a friendship? And if the only thing that is going to serve me is things that puts me in a space where I can't hear from God clearly, then is that the friend that God wants me to have? Or is this someone who I might need to put into a ministry assignment bucket?
You know what? And Pastor T, I love how you say that, because we throw around the term friend very loosely. And we need to be clear and be able to discern the difference between a friend and a drinking buddy.
What defines you as my friend, right? You know how when we were younger, like I remember when I was a little girl, be on the playground and I wanted to play. I'm like, will you be my friend? And yeah, we're gonna be friends. And we will be friends. And that's all that it took. You know, we're gonna be friends. And like we're not friends like that anymore, right? And then even when we got mad at each other, okay, well, I'm mad at you. And it's like, okay, well, but the next day, we're friends because you're my friend, right? But I just think nowadays, yeah, we use that term so loosely. And I think just because we want to be solidified and in so many ways, like we need those accolades, we need that affirmation from other people. And if
That
for some reason,
validation.
Right.
yeah, the validation from other people, and it's like, okay, well, if it's like I said, if it's not serving me, then how can I really say that this person is a friend? Like if I don't want to open up to this person, like the friends in your circle where you're like, hey, look, I'm not drinking anymore. All right, homie, why you not drinking? Well, look, I'm going through some lifestyle change. I'm trying to get my body right. To me, a friend would be, well, you know what? We're gonna do this together. We both get,
Mhm.
like, and
Or at
we
least encourage you, go
Right.
ahead. That's what's up. Go
that's
for
a
it.
friend. That's a friend, right? That is what a friend does. They're
Hmm.
supportive. They're going to continue to push you. They may drop out after halfway through, but they're going to make sure that you continue to go forward. Like, and I know that there are people in my circle who they may not go with me all the way, but they're going to continue to push me. If I put something out there that I want to do, they're going to make sure that I get it done. Versus, well, I don't want to talk to you, or stop talking to me, or trying to kill the dream or the vision that God has given me. But I definitely applaud you for staying course on the journey, because in
Hmm.
the end, when we allow the Holy Spirit to come in and clean house in that type of way, it's so much better than when we
Hmm.
try to hold on to those friendships and we don't really want to let them go. And he's like, look, this person is not serving you. They're not doing you no good. And a lot of times we'll be like, well, God, remove stuff out of my life that don't serve me. And I don't want to know any we say things and
Oh,
then
you feel that, Bo?
Man, I would honestly say I felt like 2020 was a year of removing chairs from the table.
Yes.
right.
And I can recall one incident where it was just heavy on the mind one day. So that was the prayer. It was, hey,
Mhm.
listen, I just pray that my friends are my friends. And if there's
Right.
an event that somebody's not, point them out.
Right.
Give me the emotional stability to deal with what I need to do. And, I'll cry about it later. Let's go with it.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I lost a couple of friends last year, wish them well. I root for them in the background, but yes, when you ask for the good Lord to remove some things for you, be prepared to have some things removed for you. If you're not ready, don't ask
Don't ask.
because it's going to be exposed. And,
Absolutely.
oh boy,
Absolutely.
I
And you know
felt
what? I had wanted to kind of hit on some, so just some, I won't say myths, but just some frequently some frequent conversations around friendships and around friendships. And I want to get, you guys' opinion on it, right?
okay.
So can men and women have healthy friendships that are platonic? I honestly believe so. I have several male friends that have never crossed the line, and never will, like ever will. And I've had healthy friendships with these people who have, a lot of them have become family. But I've had some that were, I probably has more healthier relationships with men than some women sometimes. So I'm curious on how you guys feel about that, because that's something that's a debate that's been out there for a while. Can men and women be friends? Like, really? Pastor T, what you think?
Absolutely. I mean, but I believe it takes two mature individuals to understand, okay, hey, look, this is a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I think the waters do get a little bit muddy when you're dealing with individuals in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
The significant other may not like it. There may be some trust issues and things going on. I think we see it a lot. People meet in high school or college, men and women, and then they go on and get married or engaged, and the significant other is intimidated or threatened by the relationship. But I think that we have to be mature. In the body of Christ, God didn't just say be friends with all girls.
Mm-hmm.
Girls be friends with girls and boys be friends with boys, and no, we all come together. And then also, just to add to that, even though the intent of it may not be a relationship, but how can you start any relationship with anybody without being a friend?
Mm-hmm. Right. That should be the very basis of it.
And that's why men and women can't be friends, is because we rush into the relationship, the physical part of a relationship without being a friend. Now you got trust issues, and you mad at all the female friends that he had for 20 years that he never slept with, never looked at that way, and now you're bringing these insecurities into the relationship, when we should have started out being friends to begin with.
Oh, and I love that point, because I never really thought of that as a reason of a projection, because you went and you got your sheets all sweaty too soon. You assume that everybody done that.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
and that's a great point. What you think, Bo?
I definitely think that men and women can be platonic friends. I feel like, as a man, I feel like it's necessary. I feel like the female friends that I have that we've never done anything with each other, like we're just platonic friends, I think those are some of the best relationships or friendships that I've ever had. Like I said, being a guy, I've always been told from older guys that I know, a woman, a female, to see something way before one of your male friends to see it. It's just something about that woman's eye, her discernment, her the way she views things. How can I ever know my lady, my woman, if I'm not being told, I guess, the trade secrets on the other end via one of my female friends? I would never understand why she's mad at me about the simplest of things, and she's not going to tell me. My female friend to tell me. And if she's a good female friend, she's going to say, Bowdie, get your stuff together. You messing up. You doing this, that, and the third. My female friends are not yes men. They will pull me to the side. I've had conversations with female friends about relationships, sitting in garages, having a little kickback. I've had female friends go to the bar in my heyday, and we'll sit there and we'll talk, and it is just the best of relationships. In a perfect world, I feel like whenever I do jump that broom, my wife is going to have to be accepting of those female friends, especially if I'm able to bring all of us to the table together, and wholeheartedly, there's nothing more. You would rather me have her as a friend than one of these guys out here.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I feel like those are the best friendships to have. I feel like you got to at least have one. You can't have. You may not have 20. You got to at least have one.
Yeah. I get
But
that.
I like how you said,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
But
no,
like
go ahead. Go ahead, Pastor T. Because I think we was thinking about that same part.
Like, you got to make the introduction, right? Like, if she your friend, like, she don't have to be my bestie. She, we don't got to be best friends, like, but if she your friend, then like make the introduction. Hey, look, this is so-and-so, this is my homegirl. And then also be transparent enough to say, look, these are some things that we talk about. I think when you are transparent in your relationship and your friendships with people of the opposite sex, it just makes it so much better. But we have not been trained. We never learned how to do that. We just felt like you can't be friends. But and I'm gonna go back to, again, when I was young on the playground, I had little Susie as my friend, little Derek as my friend. I had friends, like we all were friends, and we didn't see each other as girl and boy, and then one day our eyes are open to, oh, we're girl and boy, and there are things about you that I like and things about you that I really like, and and now we got this whole division. But we got to be mature about it. Like, I just feel like as these friendships are evolving, because that's what we're talking about, we got to learn to let friendships evolve into what God wants them to be.
Yes.
And God is about transparency, not secret.
Exactly.
And if it's something that you can stand on, you should be able to be forthcoming about the nature of the relationship.
Exactly.
With yourself and to everybody involved, whether it's the person you're in a relationship with or the person that you in friendship with. Everybody should be clear on the nature of the relationship.
If your homegirl is texting you, it shouldn't be, hey bae. No, because that's not the friend. That's not your friend turn, that's my friend turn.
Yeah, she confused about the nature of this friendship.
Right. Now, okay, now I got an issue, because what? You're bae? You're her bae? I'm confused. But But if she's your, if if you're her baby, that's fine. But let me know that's what she call you, because guess what? I may not want to be in that relationship, because to me that's some blurred lines, and you have to give me the option. Give me the right to make a choice to say, okay, well, I'm comfortable with that term that you guys use for each other, but don't just bring it on someone. Um, but yeah, absolutely, we can all be friends. Let's tear down the stigma that men and women cannot be friends. Yeah, let's tear that down and let's
Let's
start
take, yeah.
having
Let's just be
relationships.
clear. Boundaries are the way, and
Right.
clear expectations are the way, and
Exactly.
transparency. And
Exactly.
then I another one, and you kind of touched on it earlier, Pastor T, but I want to roll back around with it because I know this is another hot topic. Can single people be friends and have healthy, lasting friendships with married people? Because
Mhm.
that can sometimes be an issue.
Listen,
Single,
I'm gonna take it out. Listen, I'm gonna take it back to this, okay? Um,
and it may
it,
not be so much that the
I
sexual
think
nature.
that's,
It's just
yeah, I think that's kind of a gray. That's not really a black and white, because again,
mhm,
it goes back to having that conversation with your significant other. Like when you are making a decision to, number one, be in a relationship with someone, and then taking it to the next level of engagement and being married. Um, there are things where I call we got to negotiate on some things, right? So some things we just may not be comfortable with, right? And we got to put that on the table. And if I'm uncomfortable with your single homie who is with somebody different every night, and you going out with them every weekend, if I'm uncomfortable with that, then I need to make that known at the beginning of the relationship.
mhm.
You see what I'm saying? And vice versa. Like it needs to be known, like, look, if you, this is a deal breaker for me, that if this continues to happen, we can no longer be in this relationship. But I think when it comes to single and married individuals alike, it's a tricky area. I mean, can it happen? Yeah, but again, you have to be careful, because the married lifestyle versus the single lifestyle is totally different.
It's different. It
And
does. It depends on the people.
I'm
To me,
speaking from both of the perspectives.
yeah, right. Because like me, I've been single forever, my entire life, right? And so I've had many married. I have many friends that are married, and I don't have problem. It like people are used to me being a single person. I'm used to being around couples and single people, right? So it's not really a problem for me. I can come in and do whatever. If it's two cool people, it's two cool people.
Right.
So I don't really have a problem with it. But it if it's the only thing that, like, I've had like a friend that got married, and she invited only couples to her wedding, and it was just like, I mean, I just was wondering, like, because that that was a little out there,
Right.
because I'm just like, wow, only couples to your wedding. That was
And
weird.
maybe that was
But
a conversation they had. Like, look, we only want couples at the wedding, you know.
I
But I
mean,
think it's the
let me
person
ask
on the
you, Bo,
outside.
because you have been a single person about as long as me, right?
Right. Right.
And so what do you feel about being ostracized as a single person?
For me personally, I think it's all about the timing of when this friendship developed. If I was your friend before you got married, then I'm expecting to be your friend after you got married.
That's it.
Introduce me to your man. Like my homeboys introduce me to their wives. Introduce me to your man. I have nothing to hide. Tell that
Mhm.
man, drinks on me, dinner on me. I got it. Let's go out. I'm like, if that's your man, like you said, Pastor T, we don't have to be besties. My alliance and my loyalty is with you. However, my alliance and my loyalty can't be with you, and I can't befriend him. There
Mhm.
lies a problem. Then at that time, then
Exactly.
I can see where the questions and everything come into play. Um, I can imagine that if I was in a relationship and my wife or my girlfriend, she had friends beforehand, those are your friends. New friends might turn into an issue.
Mhm.
I would probably say, we all make those acquaintances, as Pastor T calls them. We have friends that we can be intimate with, We have acquaintances that I might meet you in passing. Your work friends, if y'all have a work setting and y'all go out on a work venture and I'm invited, cool, I'll meet your work friends then. But I'm not expecting your work friends to be as problematic, I guess to say. I'm not exactly sure if that's the word that I want to use. He's not your friend. You don't even know him well enough. You just met him 90 days ago when you first started this job. He's not your friend.
Right. That's us using friendship prematurely.
Right. You know, he's a co-worker. If you quit tomorrow, are you going to speak to him the day after? I mean, he's not a friend, you know. So I think for me, I think it's the timing and when I met you, when did you get married, things of that nature for me. Then I think definitely it can work. Your wife knows or your husband knows, yeah, I'm a single guy. I may not invite him out for the good old days, you know, I can only bring good girls around him. I get it. But the timing for me is everything.
Have you had a situation where you had a guy friend that once they got married, then the girl didn't want her husband to hang around with you anymore?
If so, it wasn't presented to me. He might have just faded to black on his own accord. And maybe only came over for maybe a boxing match or a football game or something at the house. But then I think at that time you have to be able to read the room. You have to be able to say, well, hey, listen, I'm having a gathering at the house. Bring your wife, bring your husband. I'm inviting you all. This is what I'm doing, you know. That way there's no underlying issues, there's no second guessing, there's no questioning, you know, I'm putting everything out on Front Street. If it's a party where I don't want you to bring your wife, then you may not need to come to the party anyway.
Exactly. And I think we need to, as a single person, you got to learn how to respect a person's relationship.
Right.
I've learned that the hard way, because you got to be able to respect those people's relationship and understand that the nature of your friendship has evolved. Right. So they don't went from single to one. So it's not just I'm inviting him, I'm inviting them.
And you think that's part of being faithful to the friendship.
Yeah.
That's a form of faithfulness and submissiveness to that friendship, that intimate communication that me and that individual have. I cherish and love you enough as a friend to understand that I don't want to cause any issues in your household.
That's right.
I need your wife to like me. I do. I don't want her telling you what we just said, that she could see things that we may not be. I don't want her to see that I'm bad. You know, I want everybody to be fine with me. I don't want those issues.
I get that. And then that's a great segue to my next point.
Okay.
Can Christians, because this is another thing, can Christians be friends with, I don't want to say non-Christians, more than I would say people that engage in things that, you know, I wouldn't engage in. Like, now I don't want to go too extreme. Like, I don't want to say, hey, if I'm a Christian and I know a crackhead and that's my friend. I don't believe that crackheads have friends that are non-crackheads. I mean, that's just like my theory on the thing. But when you come to lesser levels, right? And you think about, you know, can your friend be somebody like, Bo, could you be friends with a man that was abusing a woman? No, even though that's not your value system.
Oh man, that's I've been there before.
I know, and a lot of men have.
Oh man, and it was you know, the first time you see something or you hear something out of pocket or whatnot, we tend to want to mind our business. But in the same breath, if I'm your friend, I don't even want to say that I should be able to check you. I should be able to pull your coattail and say, hey, yo, like, what are you going through? You want to talk about it? Like, be it I'm being a butthole about it or whether I'm being very genuine and sincere, I need to make you aware that, hey, again, what are you doing? Let's discuss it, you know. We're not friends now. I will say that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you find out
now. I think
that's not your. You can't be friends with that person, right?
Digress from a friend to an acquaintance. Love you to death. When I see you, hey, what's going on? Again, in my heyday, when the world was open, if we was at a bar or a club and I seen you, hey, you know what? I don't mind buying you around. But you know, we're not leaving together. Don't call me tomorrow. You know, like, we're good. I don't want that to rub off on me in no way, shape, form, or fashion. A lot of times I feel like we go with the thought process of birds of a feather flock together or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the flock that I want to be associated with. If I'm not a Christian and my Christian friends and I'm seen out with these individuals, or I'm not a millionaire, I'm good. I'm not a good thousandaire. I'm all right. But if I'm out with a flock of millionaires and thousands, that's the kind of flock I want to be around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be around these other flocks. That's not for me. And I feel like my grandfather told me a long time ago, you hang around a painter long enough, you're bound to get some paint on your shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that stain on my shirt, so I want to be very particular about the painters that I'm with.
That's right. So, Pastor T, how you feel about that? If you, as a person, and I know as a pastor, you guys are always held at a higher, so it's always like, what the pastor doing? What the pastor doing? Everybody always looking to see the pastor slipping. So, but I know you got your 3 silos there with the acquaintance, the people you serve, and the actual friends. But not everybody, you wearing that pastor hat, because not everybody in the friend silo is a pastor. So not everybody is living the pastor lifestyle. But at what point, like, have you had those situations where you like, you know what, because of our different value systems, I'm gonna have to, in this friendship.
Definitely. Yeah. At any given time, we're either doing the pouring into somebody else or somebody is pouring into us. And a lot of times in those situations where you find that your values are going in different directions, right? And you're trying to focus on one thing and you're learning and you're growing. And yeah, you have those friends who like, for example, I remember at one point I didn't listen to secular music. When I first started my Christian walk, I was single and I was not listening to none of the love R&B. It was not good for me, right? But I still have friends. I may get in the car with them and they may listen to some secular music. Now, when I get in the car, I'm not gonna be like, turn it off, because
Right.
I don't listen to that. Now, they would turn it off because they knew, okay, look, we know you're not listening to that now, right? Because I'm building myself up. But I think that, yeah, we can be friends with we can be friends with anyone, because I do have friends who are in ministry. I have friends who are not in ministry. I have friends who would label themselves as Christians, and I have friends who like, look, I don't really know about all that. Like, that's you, Alicia. That's your thing. Like, you the God person. Like, that ain't me.
Mm-hmm.
But but even in those situations, they still are pouring something into me. Like, they still, like, there is some sort of way that we're both serving each other. Now, I don't have a lot of friends are not Christians, just because at some point, some people just like, look, we ain't got time for that. You just too holy. Even though I don't see it, I'm like, me holy? I ain't the holy one. But yeah, I think we can be friends. I mean, because even the word says, when he talks about being unequally yoked, right? But the word, when he talks about being unequally yoked, he mentions that the believer, and this is in the context of relationship marriages, but the believer stay with the unbeliever so that the unbeliever is drawn to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even in relationships where you have believer and unbeliever, my role is to bring the unbeliever to Christ in some way, form, or fashion. And that's in the way that I walk, the way that I live my life, what I'm pouring into them so they can come to Christ. They may not come, and convert like that, but in some forms or fashions in their life, I am drawing them closer to Christ. So that's why I believe that we can be friends with anyone. We just got to know that what our role and how we're serving that person, because that's what it's really all about, how we serve that other person. Because for me to be friends with somebody and not draw them closer to Christ, talk about God and in some conversation that we have, I'm gonna end up preaching something to you.
Would that make them automatically your friend though? Because I think that might be us, throwing that term around a little loosely. Because just because they are doing these things, that are that don't match your value system, and you minister to them, right? That's one thing, right? And I feel like that's that third silo you mentioned, to where you won't not interact with a person. But as far as being a friend, having them in that friend silo, like this is my friend.
You do have to discern the difference between, is this a friend or is this a ministry assignment, right? And again, the person who is the ministry assignment serves you in no way other than for you to lift them up. That's period.
Yeah.
And that's how you know the difference, right? So even if you have a friend who may not necessarily, you two may not be like, on the same level spiritual or anything like that, you can still come together and have that conversation, right? This person is not just calling you when they fell down and they need some guidance or whatever. No, like you can call this person, you two can kind of exchange back and forth. And I think that's the key between friendships and other things is, if you're not the first person who I want to call when I got good news, bad news, indifferent news or whatever, then you're not my friend. Like you're just not my friend, and vice versa. Like if I'm not the person that you want to call, then you're not my friend. Maybe we can go to the acquaintance or the social, put that in that bucket. But
you in a friend training program. We can put you in we can put you on there.
But a lot of times, like even with our friendships, like we grow up with people and they've been in our space for so long and our journey changes and we feel like we got to bring them with us. But no, like this may not be the journey for them, and that's okay. If they can't come along on the journey, it's like I'm in a different space in my life, and I may look back, and again, I want to hold on to this because I've done that. I want to hold on to this person as a friend because it's comfortable for me and I'm so familiar with this person, but it's not serving anything in my life. Like I'm doing more pouring into this friendship than I'm not getting anything out. And like you got to just realize, okay, this is not a friend.
Right. Because a friend should, like in Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so should a friend sharpen a friend. If you feel like you're the only one sharpening, you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. That, or you got to just make sure you got that person in the right silo. And I like how your silos are. Like you are acquaintance, you are in a friend training program, as I like to say, or you assign. What's the third one again? The assigned
ministry assignment.
You might be that. So let me ask you guys this one last question, right? So what's the best lesson that you've ever learned from a failed friendship?
Oh man.
I'll start with you, Bo.
The lesson that I learned from a failed friendship.
Yep, the best lesson that you've learned from a failed friendship.
I don't want to sound so cliche because on social media I see so much of it being posted, but the first time somebody shows you who they are, believe it. So many times I feel like we want to hold on to things because of the relationship we have with somebody, or like I said, you'll pray for this and you'll get it, and it's like I just don't believe you. I'm not willing to let it go yet. Granny, I talk to a lot of older people. Granny told me, she said, oftentimes when we ask for something and you're being shown and you're supposed to let it go, you might get a little pop on the hand this time. The second time around, you might get a little pop on the bottom. That third time gonna hurt. And it's that I told you, leave this alone, leave that alone, leave this person alone, leave that situation alone. Now you're sitting over here with your little feelings hurt. So I would probably say that when somebody shows you who they are, believe it. Take off the rosy colored goggles, take that lesson for what it is, get out before you get in too deep, and you can't.
That's it. Cliche or not, it's a great lesson.
Right.
It's a great lesson. Alicia?
So, a true story for me, a few years ago, I called myself rekindling the friendship I had with my best friend in high school. And so that goes to show you how long ago we had been friends. But anyway, in high school, we fell out in high school. She got pregnant in high school, and she said we fell out. I don't feel like we fell out again. I feel like we just went our separate ways because she wanted to be wifey. Like she was so in love with her boo and she was pregnant, but she felt like I was supposed to be the third wheel. Like everywhere they went, I was supposed to go. But when I had my own relationship and I'm doing my thing, it was like, okay, well, you dumped me for him, but you got your own thing going. Like you got a whole baby. Like our lifestyles are totally different now. So, like back in high school, we kind of like tried to be friends again and throughout the years. But what I started noticing was because eventually I moved to Charlotte. She was still living back in the hometown I grew up in. But I started noticing like whenever I would go pass through her way, like I would call, like, hey, what you doing? You know, hang out or whatnot. But when she would come to Charlotte, like she never reached out to me. And so finally, like, and I was dating my child's father at the time, and he was like, why do you keep doing that? Like, you wasting your gas, your time, your energy going to see her. She comes to Charlotte, she'll never come see you. And I was like, you just hating. You don't want me to have no friends. And I got mad at him or whatnot. But eventually, I started realizing, like, wait a minute, that is what's happening, right? And so I stopped investing in the friendship. I did. I was like, you know what, whatever. But then a couple of years later, through social media, rekindled or whatnot, and again, the same thing happened. Same thing happened again. Um, and so one day we had went out to dinner, and this is when I knew that okay, she ain't like this is not your friend. But we went out to dinner, and like we were like talking about some of the stuff that happened in high school or whatever. And she made a comment to me, and I haven't talked to her since, but she said something like, well, because she was still kind of hanging out with some of the girls that we went to high school together. And she was like, well, I'm going to have to tell the crew about you or something and, see if we can bring you back in. And when she said this to me, I was like, what? And like, I had to tell her, I was like, I think you got, like, I don't want to be friends with them. My intent was not to be friends with them.
Right.
My intent was to be friends with you. But you're trying to bring me into a clique. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the whole, like, I don't want to be their friend. Like, you my friend, And so at that point, like we're still friends on Facebook and, hey, how you doing? But at that point, like, I just realized, like, kind of like what you said, but when people show you who they are, or when people are trying to take you down a road that you don't want to go in, that you don't fit in, because had I had been like, oh yeah, because sometimes we get so hung up on titles and being with the right people, and you know what I'm saying, and like again, that validation that we end up with a group of people and we look around, and even though I have all these people around me, I still don't have a friend. I still don't have anybody I could call. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm okay with that. And so, but that was a hard pill for me to swallow because it was like, dang, after all these years, you still don't get it.
Yeah.
And like that was the hurtful part. Like you want me to be I don't want to be in a crew, but I think that happens to us more so than not, because like if me and Marley, we cool. I don't have to be friends with Marley and everybody that she's friends with to be cool with her. Her and I can just be friends, and everybody else is an acquaintance. Okay, we all good. But yeah, so that whole come, you got a whole tribe with you, and I got to interview all y'all to be the friend. No, you can count me out because I'm not doing that.
Yeah, she was trying to build a new public enemy, and you was just trying to be, or the new Wu-Tang Clan.
I'm only
And so
interviewing for a
you don't want
job.
to do
You
all
ain't
that.
giving me no check. I'm not interviewing to be your friend. What?
Yeah,
But
nah.
I get that 100% though, and that kind of takes me to the biggest lesson that I had learned about a failed friendship, and it's not even one specific failed friendship, over multiple ones. What I learned is that it's just important to give people grace, right? And that, what I found out is that it's just not good putting people on pedestals, because nobody belongs up there, right? Nobody belongs to be put on a pedestal. Nobody, it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you. It's not fair for me to expect for somebody to never let me down. You know what I'm saying? That's just something that real friends understand, that the other person is human, and that they won't always get it together. They won't always get it right. And just because, the friendship doesn't go on, doesn't mean that it was just wasted time. It just means that season was over. You know what I'm saying? And so that helped me to kind of get past, friendships that don't go as long as I would like them to go sometime. That helps me to get past them. It's just knowing that, you know what, I can just see from right now, you are not meeting what it is I need when it comes to a friend. And once I know that, as I've grown as a person, I just am clear about what it takes to be my friend now. I was slapping the title around too much when I was younger. And now I'm just a little bit too grown for that. And and I just know what it looked like when you're a friend, and when the one that I need to keep close. And I know what it looked like when it's time to let you go. And I just thank God for him maturing me to where I'm better at letting go. And just because I'm letting go doesn't mean, that person is a bad person. It just means that, rightfully so, they don't belong on a pedestal,
Right.
and they just can't go where I'm going.
Exactly.
You
But I
know?
like how you said it doesn't mean that they're bad, like we're not bad people because we don't fit well with each other. It doesn't mean anything is wrong with me or anything is wrong with you. We just have a difference of opinion. We got a difference of style. Some people are only going to be in our life for a season.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Exactly. And
situation.
one thing I found out too about the difference between being able to sever relationships as a Christian opposed to not, you supposed to like settle them in a way that's real calm and cordial, which I was the best ghoster on the planet. Like I will ghost you so hard and will be somewhere and see you and act like you don't exist. And when I found out I wasn't supposed to do that no more, that was hard. But I'm a little bit better at it. What about Bo? You a good? How you
I
like
was
that?
gonna say I'm still working on that walk. I can't give you that yet. I'm still working on that walk. Depending on how emotional I am at that time, you might catch all these feelings. I might be mature enough to say, you know what? Hey, it's cool. We're working on it. I didn't even know it was a thing until you just said something about it. So now I really feel like I'm gonna have to start working on it.
Yes. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I have to tell them. Like I used to just be like, all right, they'll figure it out. Like I just don't want to say nothing. Or I'll say something real hard because I got a silver tongue in me. But I try not to, I just like cut you and then be gone. But when I got to the point where I'm like, I have to tell people this is over because of this. I won't be treated this way. And I just think it's no longer right for us to just go on with this friendship. That was weird.
Now, is that really a word in the book that because I really have the thought process like, yo, we grown. And you know what you did. And you know I know what you did. If we have to discuss it any further, it might be some real non-biblical things going on. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, because it's all around grace, Bo, because it's God wants you to show grace because he shows it to us. And that's just a way to do that. And that's how he expects us to do it. Yeah.
Now, Pastor T, I see you shaking your head and you're nodding and you're like, yes, that's Pastor T, I gotta do that for real.
I do also come from the church of ghosters.
Yeah. Ghost
Yes,
Tabernacle.
because like I said, like even with the lady I was saying about, like after that conversation, I was like, nah, you got it, and I never called her again. Like I never sat down just to say, hey. And so, but what happens with that is this person leaves with their understanding of what happened in their mind, and then you leave with your understanding. But there's not, it's really a passive aggressive approach, right? And it's like, you did this to me, so I did this, but nobody really knows what happened. Like I really know why her and I no longer talk, but in her mind, she may think, well, she ghosted me for another man. That's probably what she thinks. I don't know, because I haven't talked to her to ask her. And Lord, I'm not gonna call and ask. I don't want to ask. I don't care. But
We're gonna pray for that pastor.
But, the Holy Spirit might say, you might want to call her. But I do think like the only way that people get better, the only way we can grow is if we know, because like you said, Bo, some people may not know like that they crossed the line. Because some people don't have boundaries, and they may think, well, that's acceptable because other people that they hang out with, they can do that too. And but no, when you have boundaries and you have standards, and like people may not know that, because then it gives that person the opportunity to say, okay, well, my bad, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cross that line, I'm gonna work on it. Or they may be like, oh, you tripping, and they don't want to talk to you no more. But then how you proceed. But I think just putting it out there, it sets boundaries. You got to have boundaries in friendships. We don't want to have boundaries. Everybody gets so offended quickly. You hurt my feelings. Well,
yeah, we get emotional.
Iron, but going back to the scripture that you read, when you talked about iron sharpens iron, like that's friction.
Yeah.
This friction is a little bit of friction that's gonna have to happen in order for us to be sharpened. And if you don't want no friction, then you don't want to be iron. Like we can't sharpen each other.
Yeah.
So
that friction, it take a lot to be a good friend. Just like to hold those friends that you hold on to, you go through a lot to hold on to them friends. And it take a lot of maturity to realize that the friends that stay are the ones that's gonna challenge you. They're gonna hold you accountable. They're the ones that are gonna expect the best from you.
But at the end of the day, a friendship is a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And we got to remember that a friendship is a relationship. And in order for the relationship to grow and work, we have to communicate and talk to each other. You got to tell me what you like and what you don't like. That doesn't just apply to my significant other. That applies to my friendships. Like you can't do this, or and we have to be respectful. But girl, we could talk about this all night.
But that's what and it's like we touched on those friends when it's time to get rid of them. But the criteria for the ones that stay, and what it looked like for the ones that, how you know that you got that iron, to that right iron that's sharpening your iron. And that's what it's looking like. The ones that pray for you, the ones that are not just there, but the ones that are, they're going to make sure that they're going to help you be in the best light possible. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to sit there and allow you to destroy yourself and enable you. They're going to hold you accountable, and they're going to expect the best from you, and they're going to encourage you to do what's best for you. And that's how you know when you being sharpened right.
Exactly.
So that's what's up. All right, guys, I'd like to thank you so much for being here. This is a great conversation, and my first trio. So I appreciate that. And you know what, Bo, you have 2 firsts in my on the show now. You the first guest ever, and you were part of the first trio.
Hey,
so
I'm doing things in 21. I'm doing things. And I got a lesson out of it today too. I got to rework out my exit strategy now. I wasn't looking for that today, Marla.
I might have to write that down. Right. Your exit strategy.
Yeah. No ghosting in 2022. No more ghosting.
Not ghosting people. No more ghosting.
But that's
Well,
all right. I believe you're
at
gonna
least
get there.
let the Lord lead you to who you might need to go back and like, some things it's okay. Let it go. It's fine.
Leave it where it's at, Pastor.
Leave it where it's at. Just leave
Hey,
it where it's at.
you know what? I'm gonna take that word with it. Leave it where it's at.
All right, well, there you have it. It's not a matter of if friendship circles will evolve, it's just a matter of when. But don't worry, we can count it all joy and count it all as a part of the process of God shaping us and getting us to where He wants us to go and having who we need in our life to get there. All right, so when it comes to this process, I know that loving God can be easy, but trusting God can be hard. But we can all get there one step at a time on this Christian walk. And I'll see you next time.